welcome to What Are You Reading? A podcast with the Public Library of Mount Vernon in Knox County. I'm Christy.
And I'm Katie.
And today we decided to pick books that are by authors that we actually got to interact with at the Public Library Association conference earlier this year.
Yes, it was part of the mystery panel, and there were some heavy hitters in there too. But we found these two women that we hadn't really heard of before, and their books sounded really good, so we decided to give them a shot.
Yeah.
So you're getting 2 doses of spooky because I think both of our books deal with kind of...
Yeah, they actually do. And we're rolling into October soon, so be ready for October's podcast as well. But we'll just spooky month for 2 months, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't plan it, I swear. So my choice was That Night in the Library by Eva. I'm going to hopefully pronounce this correctly. I do apologize if I get it wrong. Jurczyk, I believe. So Eva Jurczyk, That Night in the Library. And this is what it looks like if you're at home. It's got a really ambient kind of creepy cover. So there's a keyhole. We've got some books back here with a candle. What appears to be some blood dripping out of the keyhole. Ooh. So if that's any indication this is a locked door mystery, there you go. And what did you pick?
I picked Do What Godmother Says. So mine has a little bit of a historical element to it. So it takes place in 2 different time periods. One during the Harlem Renaissance in New York, and then in present day Washington, D.C.
Okay. Ooh, I remember, so this was earlier in the year that we were at PLA. We were just lucky enough that it happened to be in Ohio this year. So it was possibly a once-in-a-lifetime chance. So we were really, really excited that we got to go. And specifically sitting in on this panel, since we are all book lovers here, getting to listen to the authors talk about, at that time, these books hadn't been released. So they were giving us a glimpse into these new releases. So that was pretty exciting to get to hear them talk about it, and now to read it and kind of compare like how excited we were to, you know, what happened. So I will start by saying that I gave this my best shot. And I love a mystery. I love a locked door, of course. And this story, The Night in the Library, follows 7 students on the night before graduation, and they gather in the basement of the university's rare books library to, you know, after closing time, when everything's dark, to perform a ritual that happens to be in one of the Greek books that's housed in the library. And this ritual is meant to free them of fear. And in order to complete the ritual, they needed to fast for 24 hours before the ritual, and they also do partake in some drug use. So trigger warning for drug abuse. That does happen in here. Obviously, trigger warning for murder. I probably should have said that too. And I will say that, you know, this is an adult novel, so, you know, I had no problems with the fact that there was some things going on in this story. But I do think that it affected the storytelling aspect, because we have 7 people that are tripping on acid, and you are getting their perspective. So because the chapters are from the character's point of view. So you've got 7 people who are all on illicit drugs trying to tell you a story. So that was a little bit tricky, right? So I did really have to be paying attention to what I was reading when I was reading it, and trying to piece together what was fact and what wasn't. So of course we're all together, getting ready to start the ritual, when, you know, the lights completely go out and we have a body. So, and it isn't long after the first body falls that more bodies fall. And we realize that we are trapped in this library, in this room with a killer. So there are a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of psychedelic issues going on. So it's up to you to kind of, figure out what is going on, what's real, what might not necessarily be real, and try to follow along with the twists and turns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on this were that I didn't necessarily connect with the characters because the 7 individuals weren't really that connected. So typically I expect there to be, some relationships that might be pretty close. This could be like a group of 7 friends, even if it was 7 complete colleagues. But as the group is forming, we realize that it's really loosely based. So most of the characters don't really know each other. They might have had a couple interactions with each other. So there's not really a base to get to know them that well. You're knowing them as individuals, but not the group dynamic. So as the story unfolds, that does get a little bit better because obviously we're trapped together and somebody's got a motive, right? So it does start to come together. No spoilers. But I will say that I think it would have definitely helped me be more excited if I had been able to form those like deeper connections between the 7 characters. So overall, it is a good read. It just depends on your point of view. So, if you're willing to go along for a tripped out murder mystery, this is for you. If you happen to be more of like a traditional mystery person, you might not find this as enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What about yours?
So mine also has kind of an otherworldly possible thing. So it starts in the beginning with, in the Harlem Renaissance, with Estelle Johnson, who is an African-American painter who is, trying to break into the scene. And she comes to the notice of a woman called Maud Bachman, who is also called Godmother. She is a white, wealthy woman who is a historical figure. So she really existed, who would find people that she was patron of the arts. So she would find people that she thought had a lot of talent, and she would shower them with gifts and food and money, and so that all they had to do was focus on their work. However, she also owned their work.
Oh, wow.
So there was a catch. And even, I'm trying to think of who... There was a famous African-American writer who's historical, who also worked with her, which is where L.S. Stratton, the author, found out about her. So we start, and Estelle everybody calls her Essie. So Essie is running from something, and she's covered in blood. And she hops into a cab, and then we come to present day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and in present day, we have Shanice, who her family has one of Essie's paintings. And it's been in the family for years. Apparently, there was like a great-grandmother who was actually friends with Essie, and that's how they came to get the painting. And it was actually one of the last ones she painted, and was definitely her last self-portrait. So Shanice's grandmother is like, I'm downsizing, help me clean out my house, and the painting is yours if you want it. So in the midst of all of that, Shanice's life is falling apart. Her boyfriend Jason just moved out, and she's dealing with stuff from her grandmother, and there's also an unfortunate thing that happens at work which results in her quitting. So she's got no job, no boyfriend, and she doesn't really even want this painting, but she goes and meets with an art dealer to be like, can you tell me more about Essie? And he just starts salivating over this painting. Wow. So And in the course of this, the book so far, I haven't read it all the way, which I'm really surprised about because I stayed up way later than I usually do when I read these.
That's awesome.
So yeah, even last night, I wanted to read more.
Keep going. Yeah.
But, so then there are new people. Oh, and, Shanice also struggles with, anxiety. Mm-hmm. She's been diagnosed with it. She doesn't like taking medication because it makes her basically a zombie. Mm-hmm. But that also means that sometimes she feels like she's paranoid, but maybe she's not.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean someone's not after you.
Absolutely.
So, she's got Jason who doesn't want her, but doesn't want to lose her. Mm-hmm. So he's acting weird. The man who wants to buy the painting from her is like maybe stalking her.
Oh my gosh.
He took $5,000 and basically like stapled it to her home, to her apartment door.
Oh my gosh.
So as like a teaser.
Wow.
So maybe stalking her. When she goes over to her grandmother's, there is a new woman, because the place where her grandma lives, that neighborhood is getting more gentrified. Mm-hmm. So there's this woman who goes out for walks with her son and is showing a lot of interest in Graham and her house, mm-hmm. Which might go beyond the landscaping.
Ooh,
I don't know yet,
okay.
But she's got my hackles up.
Uh-huh.
And then there's Noah, this man that she just happens to bump into. He's from the South. I think Texas, if you count the Texas as the South. I know it's different. And he is like her love interest, but he too is acting a little weird for me. Okay. So I can't spoil it because I don't know how it ends, but she is fairly certain that Jason is being weird and he's doing some weird stuff, and she is down in the depths of her soul believes that the art collector is the one who is stalking her. And in the midst of her trying to find out more about Estelle, someone gets murdered.
Ooh.
So we have 2 murders to solve.
Oh my gosh.
So, because, forgot to mention, Maud Bachman gets murdered.
Oh, wow.
So we don't know if at the beginning of the book, when Essie's running away, if the blood is Maud's, or,
oh my gosh,
we don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
So, you'll just have to read the book to find out.
Yes.
It's great. She's got really, L.S. Stratton has really good pacing, so you want to keep reading it. The chapters are fairly short, which helps with I can't stop reading it now.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
So yeah, just there's drama, there's murder, there's historical stuff. It's just 10 out of 10. Do recommend.
Yay! That's awesome. I know that we had talked about it, and you do not have that much really left to go.
Yeah.
So when she's done with it, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, and this is an advanced reading copy. So you can still check it out at the library, because I know we bought it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's on the shelf yet, but you can check it out before the 2 of us finish reading it.
Absolutely.
So,
and then come let us know what you think. And that night in the library is available. We have it I did read the physical copy, but I also listened to the audiobook. Mm-hmm. I always think that personally, I love doing that because there's a lot of stuff that I will miss. And I will say that the audiobook, I did have an easier time following. So you might want to check that out as well. So, that's available on Libby. Yeah, check these out. They're awesome reads. Get you ready for spooky season. Mm-hmm. So, perfect time to pick up some murder mysteries. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us again for another episode. And we'll see you back here in October. Bye.
Bye.